Here we go.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Once You're In podcast. This is episode 23 because I just checked so we knew which it was this time.
I remembered.
Reece did remember, yeah. We're not going to make this one as long. We do say this every time, but we're actually not. There's not actually that much to cover. This is Tuesday, the 12th of October. We did an episode on Friday where we were chatting about the Arnolds. So Reece has got a show this weekend, but we probably won't cover it too much today. We're just going to answer some questions, I think.
Yeah, I feel like literally the last few podcasts have just been about me, and I feel like as much as as many people want to listen just to myself, it gets a bit boring. And it's like, yeah, peak week. We'll do a quick update. Tuesday, it's a rest day for me. 70 carb gone in. No cardio, steps a bit lower, so just going for a small walk after each meal today. So it'll most likely total out between like 8 to 10k, so like a 4 to 5k reduction in steps. Everything else seems all good. Body weight was at 92.4, which is the second lightest body weight I've had all prep. Visual look yesterday was a bit interesting. Like, I feel like fatigue has definitely crept up since the last show. I've been either training or cardio with lower food. So it's either been a training day or cardio, as mentioned, with lower food. So fatigue's been definitely building up to the point where, like, you can tell my lower back when fatigue's high, it's just a little bit soft, isn't it? Like, it's almost where I just hold a bit of water. So plan of action for today, just chill out, 70 carb gone in, see how that responds, and then most likely start just a linear load from tomorrow. So carbs will be worked up from tomorrow most likely, and we'll probably just titrate them up as we go. Finn was saying yesterday it would be good if I stepped on the scale, didn't look, and just competed at 95 kilos, so just was a fair bit fuller. But like I said, we'll see how things are. And 4 days till the final little dance of 2021. And we'll do an episode next week where we can have a chat. But looking forward to it. Looking forward to having a nice weekend and then making the improvements.
Smashing the food in, mate. What's your post-show meal going to be?
Oh, mate, I've got everything planned. I've got a cookie company delivering. I've got breakfast booked the following morning. I've got everything. No, we'll go for me, Finn, Shannon, Sanaya, my mum. We're going to go for a pizza afterwards, and then I'm having a milkshake. That's what I fancy. I'm having a pizza and a milkshake, and then
I've not agreed to this. I've not been asked.
No.
Where's mine? I don't get a choice.
No, well, you can have what you want. You don't have to come. Like, you can get your own food and just sit there.
Sit there and eat cream and rice.
Yeah, you can have your cream and rice, mate. You can have an M5 or, mate, it's M4 actually. But no, so that'll be the plan for Saturday. To be fair, it's interesting. I will actually say, we mentioned yesterday, my food currently on training days is at like 550 carb, and I've been dropping body weight. So I'm not joking when I say I'm like day one, I'm going to be like, I'll probably push it to 700 carb, like day one of my first training day back, and I most likely will probably need more food within the first week. So I think I'll probably exceed what I've had previously. When it
depends what you do with your expenditure, doesn't it? Because you're not going to be doing, like, I know you'll still want to keep steps in, like, to an extent, but over time you won't. Like, for the first few months when I finished, I was like, I'm going to do steps between every meal and this and that, and you do it for a decent amount of time. But then now I'm in a position where, like, my digestion is good with all the foods that I'm eating. Like, if I can just sit and rest whenever possible, then I will. You know what I mean? So, like, you'll get to that point. So, yeah, you probably start off at about that. But then what I'd say is just bring your expenditure down. So you don't have to start on that, or start on a stupid amount of food, or push up to a stupid amount.
Yeah.
But you'll do that anyway. Like, you'll be like, I don't need to go on 8 walks a day.
Yeah. No, I agree. But yeah, so either way, like, it's the one benefit of like reversing out and being, like, I say, it's the one benefit of digging fucking stupidly hard prior to the first show is, in a weird way, like, it's probably a benefit and it's also a bit of a detriment, because I think a lot of people did the first show, and I mentioned this to a client the other day, where I think a lot of people would have probably gone into the first show and been like, right, I'm going to be at like 85%. That'll be enough for like a finals invite or whatever. And then I'm going to actually like get even better, where I went into the first show and I was like, I don't need to be leaner. Like, there's not going to be much improvements that needs to be made from a condition standpoint. I just need to not die. So it was like, we've literally just reversed food out. So it's been a fair bit easier. Like, I've spoke to so many people who are doing finals. No, I haven't. I spoke to a few people who are doing finals. So many people. I spoke to a few, like literally 4 people, and they're all like struggling, mate, and battered. And I'm like, oh, I'm sound. I'm not in the grand scheme of things. I'm not sound, but I'm better than like 2 weeks out from the first show. I was ruined. Now I'm like, oh, let's just get to the end. Like let's just enjoy it.
Well, a minute, like you think. So you said you'd have been 85% in the first show, but you weren't 100% in the first show. You just dug harder. So like you'd be closer to 100% for this final show because you're a lot more relaxed and you can just gradually work food up. But it feels like you're going to be at a lesser percentage, or you feel like you are because it's easier.
Yeah, because you're systemically less ruined.
Yeah, you think that you don't look as good. Like you've been saying, like, oh mate, I feel softer and this and that, and it's like you don't look it at all. It's just that psychological attachment to not pushing yourself as hard.
Yeah. But to be fair, if you think about it, like,
as well.
Yeah, true. The tan right now is the one thing you can't really see. You can see my knuckles.
Yeah.
So the YouTube listeners, basically, or YouTube watchers, basically, the tan has not come off in certain places. So it's like my midsection is like a dry. It looks just like a muddy puddle. But then like my face is pretty pale, and it's like it's led to kind of like a viewpoint where like I'm posing, and there's no like crispiness or detail in my midsection. So I'm like looking at my midsection, I'm like, oh, I look a bit soft.
It is annoying. That's the one annoying thing. It was the same with Slater. To be fair, with Sonny, it was a bit different, but I think that's maybe because he's got brown skin anyway. Because when Sonny got his tan, it enhanced his look massively.
Yeah.
But when Slater got his tan, and when I got my tan, and even when you got your tan, it just takes away that couple of percentage of conditioning. And I think it's probably because when you're paler, obviously you look grainier. And then when you get that tan, it sort of takes that away. Like you still look mint under the stage lights, but I remember when I got my tan and I was like expecting to really like it. And then I was like checking photos and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I look like I've gone like 5 weeks back.
Yeah.
It was weird. It does take away from your conditioning. I think I don't know whether it's not as if the tan's bad. Like the tan's mint. Like you said, like Nicola's tan was proper good. It is really good. But I just think, is there not a way that they can make the tan like maybe not as dark or not take away from that condition? Because you ask anyone and they'll be like, it does feel like it just takes away a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it just takes away that like few little percent, like the graininess, as you said. So so like posing the last few days, it's weird. And like at the end of the day, I'm in a better spot. My body weight's like very, very similar. I'm eating more food. My training's better. Fatigue's lower. So all those factors are going to result in a far better viewpoint. And then at the same time, like my food, because it's going to be worked up, it's been worked up for both shows, but it's going to be continually worked up this time. I'm going to be in a far better spot on Saturday. But because I'm not like, I haven't dug insanely hard, it's been a bit more just like maintenance and just kind of saying, right, just assess and just kind of see and just let time pass and just go from there. So yeah, it's all good. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, spot on. Like I can tell that my body's in a good spot. Fatigue, as mentioned, is definitely there. It's not as high as it was, but it's like I can tell, like you go through periods where you're like, I feel all right. And then you realize, okay, no, I'm actually stage conditioned and I can't even still do basic tasks to a great degree. So yeah, hopefully for this time next week, I'm like a good kilo or two up as a minimum, just from slightly different foods. And then like I'll probably be training from like Monday, Tuesday. I've already kind of thought like I'll have a day off, I'll have Sunday off, and I'm like, right, probably back on it for Monday. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Nothing really else to report. Like I said, we'll update you guys on the finals next week, how it went. It'll be that'll be pretty much that. My tan will still be on because my skin's really dry, so it'll be where like
not even that, mate. Mine took ages to come off. Like Nicola, I remember Nicola being like, because obviously she made the amount of people that she will have tanned. She obviously knows like everyone's different skin and how it's going to take to it. And like, she said to me like, oh yeah, your skin will take really well, like, but it'll take ages to come off. Like, so I don't know whether that's just us or everyone, but I'm pretty sure it's everyone.
Yeah.
Like, especially on like your knees and your knuckles, like your bony bits, your harder bits, your erection.
Everywhere.
It never comes off your erection, mate.
Everywhere for me. I'm just hard as fuck, bro. That's what it is. I'm so grainy and dry. Yeah. You were soft as fuck, so like it probably came off your midsection within 2 days, mate. Meanwhile, me, it's like fucking still there. Ridiculous.
I think you're absolutely peeled, mate. Keep going about how diced your glutes are.
Mate, I am. You should see the photos. Like, every morning, checking photos. I'm going to put up like
double glute spread.
Yeah, no. You know when people just put the photo of their ass, and it's like, why are you doing that, mate? Fucking weird. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. But no, right. Well, if any, do you want to do an update on you, mate? Anything?
There's nothing extra from 3 days ago, is there? What we'll do is because obviously after Reece's show, what we're going to do is we're going to try and get our training back in line a little bit so we can train together a bit more, because we've not trained together for ages now. Like, we train at the same or similar times, but we never really do the same session, or if we do a similar session, it's not anywhere near the same volume or anything. So we're going to try and get our training closer so we can do even just 1 or 2 sessions together a week. So we'll probably do an episode on that at some point, because we were chatting about it before we started, but we don't need to go into that now. But we can go into questions, because we're not going to make this, we're going to make this predominantly just a Q&A episode.
Yes.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go?
We'll start off with an easy one. Shag, marry, avoid. JP, James Hollingshead, and Sebum.
You're going to shag Sebum, aren't you, all day long?
Yeah, you definitely shag Sebum.
I'd marry James Hollingshead because he's just a lovely guy, and I'd avoid JP. I mean, I love JP, but I'd avoid him. I feel like if I tried to shag him, something would go wrong. Like, I'd end up getting hurt. If I married him, I'd probably end up getting hurt as well. I'd get hurt deep in my heart. So yeah, I'd avoid JP. That's quite easy, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd marry Sebum. I think he'd be nice to be around. I'd let JP shag me.
No, you've got to shag them.
No, I'd shag. I'd let 280 pounds, or he's not even that heavy anymore. 260 pound, 5'5" JP shag me, and then Hollingshead I'd avoid. Just 'cause I feel like JP is more masculine. I feel like it would be an experience that would just torment me for the rest of my life.
And that's what you want.
So, yeah, exactly. That's what. To be fair,
I feel like I could easily shag Sebum. I don't think it'd be hard.
Not blasting anything anymore, so I don't think he'd be as sexual. I think Hollingshead would be on a lot more androgens. So,
no, not now. Not after his Olympia prep.
Yeah, true. So, yeah, it depends.
Go on.
No, that's it, mate. That's all I was going to say. I'd agree. I'd go with what you say.
That leads us on to another question, because I got asked about someone, Thomas Bowen, thoughts on the Olympia results. Ooh. You want to talk about physique, mate? Even though you don't even care, I'll follow it.
Yeah, mate. Brandon Hendrickson he was 215 pounds at 5'7" on stage. Bonkers.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely bonkers. Like I said, I saw some comments again saying it, and I was like, unless there's someone who's faked it, that's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, physique. Brandon
5'7",
215 pounds.
Can't imagine that's right.
I know, but if you look at the photos of him, he's an absolute freak. I think it's just because he's a physique guy. People are like, nah, no chance.
Yeah, but to be fair, they are big now, aren't they?
Yeah, mental. I think it's Diego Monterio or something like that. I haven't got his name right. Number 3, guy finished third. I liked him in the physique category. Thought he had a very well-balanced physique. And then when it comes to classic, I mean, there's no real debate. You've got a guy who fits the criteria to a T. So it's always going to be Sebum. I'd quite like for him not to win one day, just so people don't share his photos.
I don't think he's that far ahead of the rest, you know.
No, I don't think he is.
I think he is because it's
criteria so well. Like, it's just literally like if you were to design a person, you're designing him. It's like the same as if you were to design a striker, you design Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, like, you literally pick a 6'1", 6'2", like same build as Ronaldo, same literally physical components, everything. You know, I was going to say a joke about maybe, no, I'm not even going to say it. The allegations that were made about him, you probably wouldn't pick that, but you never know. You'll carry on. Yeah, not innocent till proven guilty. But no, either way, like I said. And then when it comes to the Open, me and you both said that we felt like Hadi, or is it Hadi? I don't know. It was not overlooked, but condition-wise is ridiculous. I thought he looked class. Considering the lighting as well, I thought definitely didn't help anybody. Thought that it was a pretty poor showing of lighting, and like the kind of the backstage photo, or not even backstage photos, the photos of people on stage. I felt like it masked a lot of what the hard work they did. But Ramy was there. I felt like he was worse than last year. But then at the same time, I think it was because maybe he was just better than everybody by a massive amount this year. But I thought it was close.
He was a bit worse this year.
Yeah.
He was. His conditioning last year was like really good.
Yeah.
Last year it was like, Jesus Christ, like he was mint. Like,
it was not even a debate.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
This year, I think he was a little bit worse, and I think everyone else caught up a little bit, but he was still it's just insanely big. Like it's ridiculous. Obviously, like bodybuilding isn't just about size, but it is a massive component, and like still no one's anywhere near as big as him. How he poses in some of the shots, he loses size. Like in some of the side shots, he was losing a bit of size to like Brandon and to Hunter, but he's just like ridiculous how big he is.
Yeah.
Like 303 pounds or something competing. I don't know how tall he is, but he's not like 7 foot tall. He's not 5'7" either, but I think he's probably like 6 foot or just under 6 foot.
Yeah.
He's taller than most of them, isn't he? But not by like a long way.
Yeah. 300 pounds. Ridiculous.
I know.
Like you actually think about, like, I was 247 pounds, fat as fuck, and he has 50 pounds, and then that's not even like, that's like 120 pounds of tissue, because he'd be 20 pounds more conditioned. It's mental when you think about like how much actual tissue that is. But
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. But if I took his cycle, bro, if we took his cycle, and just
saw that comment on your post just before we came on.
Yeah, I got a comment, guys. It was like, if you take Diana Bowl, Test, and Tren, you will look like this, or you'll look like this. And I was like, yeah, that's the secret, guys. Diana Bowl a week out, fantastic. Nothing better to get real dry and hard. God, shocking. But yeah, and then anyone else you want to give an honourable mention to from the Olympia? I say honourable mention, like they're dudes that people don't know. We both said Hunter looked really good.
Yeah, it was mint. We said, didn't we, yesterday, that like when I put my prediction on, like I only put James in there because I wanted him to do well. Like I didn't expect him to, like, not being negative, but it was like, I guess I was being quite optimistic, thinking, right, it'd be really cool if he got in like the top 6. But I didn't expect it. I was saying if I was to put money on it, I'd have probably put James at like 9th to 12th.
Yeah.
But that was a shame. But still, it's his first one, isn't it? I think everyone expected Nick to do better just because of how confident he is, and because he won the Arnolds. I seen a few people saying Nick was going to win, and I was like, it wouldn't have surprised me because of how good he was at the Arnolds. But still, like when you put him next to Ramy, like it's ridiculous. And I think as well, like people were saying, like, oh, Brandon's pushing Ramy quite close, and he was, but I still don't think it was in question really.
No, I agree.
I think Ramy
they like to create a bit of a story.
Yeah, definitely. But it was closer than last year. It was way closer than last year.
Yeah. It was definitely closer. But it would be like, it's hard to explain, but you almost just kind of know when you're like, yeah, there we go. But you like the sense of anticipation. It's like
I said last year, like after Ramy won, or even before he won, I was like, if he could literally win the next 5 to 8. I don't know how old he is, but I know he's not young. But he could easily win. At least he could easily win the next like 3 or 4.
I'm gonna say, and then this will move on because we've been on this for a bit. I'm gonna say 37. I feel like he's 37. Oh, he's 37. Class.
You already had it up, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I literally googled it.
We answered it about 212. So
212.
Shorter people might get
the two.
Shout out to the shorter people. I mean,
shout out to the Sean. Yeah, you got Sean Clarida, who's still like 20 pounds under his weight class.
Fucking very good. But to be fair, Derek deserved to win.
I thought so. Yeah. I found it quite interesting how a lot of people were putting on their stories, I've got Sean first, and literally look at the photo, and I'm like, how has anybody got this guy? Like
it wasn't a landslide.
No,
Sean was
like every single pose that I saw, I was like, yeah.
I think Sean looked a little bit more mature, if you like. He's a little bit rounder, but from the back, like Derek's shape from the back and his overall size, his overall sort of structure, his lat width and like his taper is an absolute joke. I think he did definitely deserve to win. But people love Sean, don't they? A lot of people really like him. I like him, but I don't follow 212 as much as other people do. No. I don't follow any of them like that closely. You know what I mean? I guess I follow like Nick and Hunter and James like relatively closely, but I don't know. Like we've said this before, haven't we? We don't like idolize them. We idolize footballers. It's weird, but that's just because that's what we've loved growing up. Like, I don't know if I've ever idolized a bodybuilder.
I'm not a bodybuilding fan. I'm not really. I'm a
You
fan. I
are,
can,
but not to
yeah, I
the
can
extent of
appreciate
other
it, but
people.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can appreciate it, but like the Olympia's on or football's on, I'm like, right, I'm watching football. Or I'd much
Yeah,
rather,
like
like, we've never driven to Ultraflex and just chatted about, oh mate, what do you reckon about this show coming up? We're literally like, we'll be chatting and then we'll mention like
yeah.
something about football or like Premier League or whatever. And speaking of which, mate, I'm doing you on that, so you need to step
I
up
don't
with
think
this.
you are now. It's close, and there's
Mm.
obviously this game week's been missed, hasn't it? With the
And Finn's wild carded already. I've still
I
got it
have.
in the bag. Game week 7. I think I'm going to do it for. I don't know. I think this might be this
Mate,
one. So.
this game week 8's coming up.
Oh,
I
I
did it
need
on
to get
game
it
week
now.
7.
Oh, well, anyway, right. Alex Kingsley, one of my clients. What is the utility and benefit of maintenance phases while in gaining phases? I like them. I know you do as well. I think there's a proper and appropriate time and application for them. Finn's a prime example for not maintenance phases in the sense of like, right, we're just going to maintain, but almost holding while we're pushing up. So go for it, mate. Take the question.
I basically see it as like, how long can you spend in a more optimal position to grow? Like if you, let's say, imagine a year, like a span of a year. Imagine if you do, let's say, 3 gaining phases and 3 diet phases across that year. So let's say you do 3 months gaining and then a month dieting, 3 months again gaining, a month dieting, 3 months gaining, a month dieting. You spent 3 months across a 12-month period dieting. So you're in an energy deficit. You're not in the most optimal position to grow. Don't get me wrong. Yes, you can still grow when you're in a deficit, dependent on the individual, dependent on the time, etc. But you're not in the best position to grow. And you're almost like yo-yoing between bringing your food up, pulling it back down, changing your expenditure, being out of routine. Let's imagine you do 12 months of gaining, but 3 of those months are holding phases where you don't have to change your food. You maybe increase your expenditure a little bit, but you might not even have to do that, because generally what I'll do with clients when we do a holding phase is we just don't change anything for ages. It's not as if all of a sudden we go, right, bring your food down, push your expenditure up massively, let's hold here, because that would probably go push it into a diet phase. What I'll do is I'll be like, right, okay, we're approaching a position where we're starting to look a little bit softer. We're probably not wanting to gain at the rate that we've been gaining at. So let's slow it down, which will happen naturally anyway, because we're not making any further adjustments. And then once it slows down enough to hold you at maintenance, we'll just hold there for maybe 4, 6, 8 weeks, depending on what, the individual, depending on how long they want to hold. There's loads of circumstances that come into it. But yeah, so imagine you've spent 3 months holding where you're still on a good amount of food, you're not in an energy deficit, you're at maintenance, you've got a good amount of energy going in still through food. That versus spending 3 months dieting is going to be more beneficial. The only time it wouldn't be more beneficial is if you're pushing the gaining phase too far to the point where you've got really sloppy and you're not going to benefit from being at that weight. Yeah, you're not even performing well because you're too heavy. Yeah, you've got too much body fat. But otherwise, you want to stay in a productive gaining phase for as long as possible, even if that means having maintenance phases along during that. So it's basically spend a longer time in a better position. And like for me, for example, I've had a few people like, oh, when are you next going to diet? And I haven't even thought about it. Like it's literally not even in my thoughts, because I'll just hold. I don't need to diet. Why would I need to pull, unless I get overly fat, which could happen if I'm not careful. Like if you're not strict with yourself, if you don't adhere to your targets, it's very easy in a gaining phase to just become complacent and start overeating because you're in a gaining phase, and then it gets sloppy. So as long as I don't let that happen, then I won't really need to diet, because all my metrics are healthy. I keep track of my blood pressure, I keep track of my blood glucose levels. Like these things are in check so that I know I can stay at this weight or continue to push on, basically. And my performance, like I was saying to you yesterday, like I feel like I could literally just pick up a weight and like nothing will really hurt me now. Like before, like I was doing like 30 kilo hammer curls yesterday. Like, yeah, the form's not perfect, but like imagine me doing that 6 months ago. Like I wouldn't have even questioned. I'd been like, that's going to batter me. Like, or 12 months ago. You know what I mean? Like it's dependent on like those kind of things. Like every individual will have a body composition and a sort of a phase or a time in space where they will be in their best position to grow. I feel in a really good spot now. Like, yeah, sometimes I'm a bit out of breath on some sets, but I can't remember the last set that I didn't progress really, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, I
so
agree.
I'd rather do that, and I can still do that even when I'm holding. Not to say that I couldn't still progress when I'm dieting, but it's almost like stopping me in my tracks a little bit. So I have holding phases for clients quite often. I don't structure them in beforehand. We auto-regulate them, but they do come about quite often.
Yeah. I also think just going off the performance factor alone, like you get to a point where like, could you get greater benefit of pushing body weight up even higher? So like, for example, are you going to train any better at 214 comparison to 208? I mean, right at this moment, no. So like you're gaining 6 pounds, you're getting closer to a point where you need to diet. You haven't earned the right for a greater amount of food. And I almost think like, in a way, if you can maximize every percent of body weight gain relative to strength and a performance accrual, that's going to be far, far more important over a long-term projection of a gaining phase than you just focusing solely on body weight. Now, when it comes to, let's say, an initial push alone, which will in turn drive performance, but it will get to a point where once I'm in a physiological, like healthy position, I don't need to be pushing body weight up to, let's say if I'm 100 kilos within the next 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, spot on, that'd be cool. Then will I need to be 110 kilos again? I'll be like, oh, not really. I mean, I could be, I might be, but if I'm training well, if I feel good, it'll be where then the rate of gain will slow down, and that'll be pretty much how it is. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of utility and benefit. It depends really on the individual. For example, with Alex, he's like 184 to 185 pounds, starts at like 180. Conditions actually improved, and I've just been literally every week I'm like, right, more food, and his conditions are getting better, performance are getting better, and like he says that he wants to get to like 190, 200 pounds. I was like, oh, aim higher, but like there'll be a point where I say to you, probably don't need more food this week, mate, because your training's going really well, body weight's creeping up, or body weight might be staying the same, and you don't have to be matched and married to a scale of linear kind of weight progression in the sense of body weight. So yeah,
I was saying that exact same thing in a check-in earlier, and like literally what you said, would, for example, for me, would my training be any better at, let's say, 214 than it is at 207? Like right now, no, but the benefit is the time. So my training will be better by the time I'm at that weight, but the only difference, that the only actual thing that matters then is time. It's not
you
were
saying you can get to 260 yesterday.
Yeah, old Shannon.
Get 260.
Old Shannon, and she didn't even bat an eyelid. I was like, I reckon I'm going to push up to 260, and she was like, yeah. She probably don't even listen to me.
Yeah, 260 pounds. Yeah, so
yeah,
he's currently started his push up at 170. He's now 208.
166 was my lightest.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I was 208 this morning.
Yeah, almost a year on, mate. That's what it is. Almost a year on. So a year's worth of weight gain. It will be. The photo I put up this morning of us, that was the 16th. So in 4 days, a year ago.
Yeah, and that was like, what was that? Was that a day out?
Yeah, a couple of days. Yeah, I think a day out, actually. I think it was on Friday. And you can beat it on the Sunday. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah. Right, your question, mate?
This is from Heathcote 95. You know Connor that signed up, Tommy's mate. He's fucking, to be fair, he's very, very, like, you know, when you get a client and you I wasn't expecting his training not to be good, but 99% of the time, there's a lot to work on with clients.
But sometimes you'll just be like, good.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Like, he's to be fair, he's very, very good. So yeah, he asked, can you explain in detail about dark chocolate and why it's actually good, please? And he gave us a blue love art. Thank you for that blue love art.
Fair enough, thanks for the love art. Yeah. So first off, I mean, I think foods like this become a little bit of a trend.
We've had this question before, but I don't think we literally just spoke about it being an easy fat source. Yeah, there are other things, but
yeah, there are definitely other things. So like, foods become trends. Oats, everyone used to love oats 3 years ago. Now nobody digests oats, and it's cream of rice.
Nobody can digest oats now.
Nobody can digest oats. Like, it's a trend. People switch between them. Dark chocolate's an easy fat source. That's one. It also increases nitric oxide production, which in turn, if you're taking it not even in a pre-workout setting, you're taking it in a daily setting, and you increase nitric oxide, it can enhance blood flow, and it's not going to be a bad thing at all if you're thinking about it from like a pump standpoint prior to a session, or likewise throughout the day. And then at the same time, there's plenty of benefits that actually lead into general kind of heart not heart regulations, but health regulations, and what it can do for blood pressure. And there's so many kind of recommendations that it's one of those foods that is actually quite beneficial from a health perspective and then from a physical perspective. And then at the same time, if you can get your fat sources in through a good fat source such as dark chocolate, there's plenty of benefits for what we do as, let's say, weight resistance trainers to be supplementing the utilization. Yeah, it's supplementing with the utilization of dark chocolate. So yeah, I think that's a pretty brief answer. Like, you can go into the intricacies if you want, but like in general, it's pretty basic by design, but there are plenty of benefits, and that's the reason why.
It's like most foods. Like if you were to, for example, like blueberries, like if you were to look up blueberries, like it'll tell you about the vitamins in it, the minerals in it, it'll tell you about the antioxidants, it'll tell you about this and that. Like, you can look up any food and it will tell you positives, really, or a majority of foods. But yeah, with dark chocolate, obviously, like you said, you know, nitric oxide is a big one in terms of like regulating blood pressure and helping get a pump, or helping not so much just get a pump, but yeah, it's going to help a little bit, isn't it? It's going to give you more, let's say, you know, again, it's those minor percentages. It's like, why use EAAs, why use a pump product, etc. But yeah, like obviously with, you know, like obviously you can go into the science as much as you like, but also it tastes nice and it's just an easy fat source. Like, but you could say that with anything. You could say, oh, well, cookies taste nice. Why can't I have cookies? You know, and this and that.
You have a cookie. You have two a day, don't you?
I do. No, I have one a day. But yeah, with dark chocolate, the higher percentage it is, they're called flavonols, I think they're called. And these flavonols are they're basically produced, or cocoa contains these flavonols, which give you all these benefits of increasing nitric oxide, etc. So like the darker percentage generally is going to be the better. And obviously then you get less carbs alongside it as well. Yeah. But again, it tastes nice. It's an easy fat source.
What percent do you go for, bro?
I go for 85%.
Yeah, same. No, I've tried 90, and I don't really think there's much difference.
Mate, I like the higher the better, but Tesco only do 95%, 85%.
Yeah, no, fair enough. There's ones at like 70%, and I'm like, is there even much point, bro? Am I even getting that 15%? Mate,
don't go below 70%. Might as well just have white chocolate.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine.
You might as well just go and get a pack of Oreos and be like, yeah, it's the same.
That's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, so coach, you message your coach, hey mate, didn't have any dark chocolate.
White chocolate mice.
Yeah, just she just had 7 white chocolate mice. They add up. They add up.
Laughing and drinking.
Congrats, well done. Right, Tris Barnes, another client, mate. Clients, yeah. If you could train any gym in the world, which one would it be?
My chest's cold now. I'd train at the Reece Pearson garage.
Yeah, the Walton Ultraflex. That's what it is. No, I'm trying to think. I don't really like. If there was an Ultraflex around the corner, we take it for granted. If there was, what is it? O2? It's an oxygen gym, you know, in like Dubai or whatever. It's not in Dubai. It's in Kuwait. Yeah, like that gym. If that's outside, within 3 weeks we're like, sound. Let's go get a session.
You get anywhere sort of wears off, doesn't it? Anywhere gets old. Like we were saying, we've actually quite enjoyed in these past couple of weeks not driving to Ultraflex as much. Although it's a great gym, like that, what's the word? Can't think of the word. It's not the excitement, but basically it wears off. You know, the first time you go, you're like, oh, this is mint. Like, look at all the kit they've got. The environment's amazing. Like, the music's good. But if you train there all the time, that kind of wears off. The one thing that doesn't wear off is that you're surrounded by like-minded people and people who almost like won't let your standards drop. You know what I mean? So like, if I was to go and train at any gym around here, if I was to go and train in Pure Gym, and like, let's say just jump on the hack squat and put a plate on, do 10 reps, 3 sets and walk off and be like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I wouldn't dare do that in Ultraflex. Like, not that I'd want to, but you know what I mean? Like, there's almost like a standard set to make sure that you're putting the effort in. There isn't that in a lot of gyms. So that's good. But the sort of, it just wears off the excitement and then I can't think of the word. What's the word?
Naming. You just take it for granted. That's literally what it is.
But there's a word, there's a word that I'm thinking of. Someone comment the word. There's a thing on Spotify, mate, where you can do a poll. I had a look. You know, the other day when I uploaded the last one, and I saw all the countries that had listened to our podcast.
Oh yeah,
There's loads, by the way, guys. Thanks.
Same
really cool.
Yeah,
there was a lot. It was cool. And then it said something like Spotify poll. Do you want to do a poll, mate? Is there anything you want to ask people?
Oh, what? And then the people that can listen?
Yeah, I don't know. That apparently, yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll have a think, because it has to be a yes or no, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know, because I can't be, what's that word that I'm thinking of?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't just put any
It's annoying me. The excitement.
Mate, come on, answer your question. People are going to be sat on their commute home from the gym thinking...
Is it my go?
Yeah, it's your go, mate. Come on.
This is from Greg Steele, big old Scottish Greg Steele.
Yes.
Does Reece tie his own shoes, or do you have to do it for him now since he won the overall?
Mate, you've put my elbow sleeves on. You've put my wrist straps on. You've loaded all the like my bar. Like if I say, right, 3 plates, please, mate. Yeah, you've literally done everything for me. I've just sat on a bench and just been tasked to perform the set. That's it. You've made all my meals. You've driven me to the gym. You've done my jabs. Everything. Every single thing that I'd need. It's just like, right, I've literally just enjoyed. The reason why my systemic fatigue is so low is because I've literally not even had to move. Yeah, I just had to sit there. Meals already prepped. Everything's already made. My scale is actually taken to I get carried to the toilet and then get everything sorted. And my scale is taken in front of me so I can just weigh myself. It's been lovely. But no, we're taking the piss. We find it quite funny how certain individuals have to get others to put their elbow sleeves on or tie their shoelaces when they're not actually. Some people might be legitimately too big. I question that. I think every single person should be able to tie their own shoelaces, or put their elbow sleeves on while they're training, or load a barbell. Went on a bit of a rant there. Sorry, God, yeah, that's the trend. The trend coming out there. That's what it is. Can't control myself. But no, Greg, to answer your question, Finn hasn't tied my shoelaces. Doesn't know how to.
I don't.
He only wears Vibrance.
I think I would struggle tying someone else's shoelaces. I can tie my own because I can look down.
Yeah, it would be. You'd be working the other way around, wouldn't you? Yeah, it wouldn't be good.
That's how I was sat on your lap.
Yeah. Will Bato. Your client, Will, is it Bertolini? Yeah, Bertolini. What are you looking forward to most after competing? Just nailing food, bro, getting fat. That's literally it, mate. Absolutely having no structure, just waking up thinking, oh God, I can just go and get pancakes this morning. It'll be fantastic. No. Yeah, that's literally what it is. No, mate, if I'm honest, I'm super, super excited to kind of conclude this prep. And that sounds weird because I think people could say and be like, oh my God, that's like, I've loved it. I've really enjoyed the show period. I think it's been class, but it's almost where I wanted this year, and I've said this before on the podcast, I wanted this year to see how far I'm away from where I want to be, which would be a men's physique pro level. And I knew going into this year that I'm not going to be miles off. I knew I wasn't at that level. I said to Finn multiple times, I feel like I'm close. You wouldn't look at me and say, oh, fucking hell, you're miles off. Or you wouldn't look at me and say, you're a pro. You'd look at me and go, yeah, you could be there in a year or two. And that's what I wanted to know. But you don't know that until you compete, until you see how you stack up. So I know what I need to improve. And I know that I'm pretty decent at it. So it's like, right, well, now I just need to put the work in. It's all well and good training in a gym, and you can train in a tank top and you can get compliments on how good your delts are, or, oh, you look really good, you should compete. And I've always thought, yeah, I look all right, I'll see how I do. But then when you compete and you're like, you know what, I really enjoyed the process. I learned a lot about myself, how we'll do things next time, and likewise what I need to improve upon. So what I'm looking forward to is, as most people would do, actually having, again, and not a new goal, but just kind of working towards what needs to be worked up for me to be at the level that I need to be at. So yeah, it'll just be a sense of, again, improvements, which is the kind of the constant quest. I was chatting to Caitlin Hill, or as I said to Finn, Caitlin Bill, the other day.
I don't know why that made me laugh so much.
Yeah, and I said, I'll end up winning my pro card and being like, oh shit, my arms are wank for a pro, or I need more chest. Like, it'll be where I can guarantee I'll be like happy for like probably 30 minutes, and I'm not even that, 30 seconds, and I'll be like, oh, I need more here. This is wank. Like, look at the level that I'm going to be up against. I'm going to be 3 years out the game until I'm at a pro level, like an actual pro level. I can compete and do well at pro shows. So now the junior still, which I think could be an option. It could be a shorter prep if I'm not a fat mess and I can kind of diet and get myself in condition towards the latter end of next year. That might be an option depending on how well I grow, but it really depends. It will just be a sense of assessing how things are at the end of like a first main push, which will probably be, say, 8 weeks from this point. And like, that won't be the conclusion, that'll be probably the start. And then it'll be where I assess if I can bring up what I need to bring up, and then maybe another one prior to a prep that could be on the cards. If not, it will just be taken off next year, and it'll be 2023. That we.
Why are you trying to steal my thunder? That's my year to compete.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'll be probably a pro level at that. I'll be going for the pro card next time.
So I'll compete the same year as me.
Yeah, so
my year. No one else is competing that year, so I can win something.
Mate, it doesn't. We won't be competing against each other.
You don't know that.
Yeah, Finn Kelly doing a PCA physique. That's what he wants to do.
I'd do all right in physique.
No, you wouldn't do bad, mate. I think, like I said, you should do like Natty, UKDFBA, and all the standard bodybuilding, and then you should do a PCA physique show. Like, it'd be good, and you should do it. No, you should do it.
I think I'd do a classic show or something, or just do a normal bodybuilding.
Yeah, you should do it 6 weeks out. Like, so you don't have to be like as conditioned. You can just do it as a warm up, see how things go, and you can be like, right, there we go.
It'd be quite good.
It would be good fun.
Right. So Will also asked, after the recent deaths in bodybuilding, do you think the industry need to take more responsibility for their athletes / change competition standard? No. You turned into a robot, by the way, on the last answer for a little bit. It was like, but it's all right.
Oh, my internet or whatever. Fair enough.
You didn't literally turn into a robot, mate. I think you'd have known if you did. You're like, did I?
Yeah. Did I? Wow. Well, no, I say a lot of stuff. I had Alex, Kingsley, message me saying like, just like he mugged me off today, mate. He said something about me re-cooperating. Like, and the worst thing is, mate, like I messaged him back saying I don't even realize when I say it, and I'm not joking. I've read the message 4 times, and I haven't told him this. So this will be read it as cooperate. And I read it the same way, and I went, "What's he on about?" And then I went, "Oh, fuck me, I've done it again." Like, guys, what happens when you're quite deep into a diet is you say stuff
to do with the diet, guys.
No, it is. And you don't even... No, because you can be slow anyway, but I'm intentionally so much slower. It's ridiculous. I don't even realise. It's an absolute idiot. So, I'm sorry. I've completely forgot the question.
I'll answer it. We shouldn't really be laughing about it.
Well, it was a serious question about the routine. It'll never... You can't regulate it, unfortunately. And
I think you can.
The criteria could change, yeah, definitely. But the problem is it's unhealthy anyway. You're putting yourself in positions of health that are not going to be good regardless. So it's like, right, you can't do this, or we don't need to be doing this. It's not good. It's not healthy. Any sport you do at any level is pretty much the same in the sense of like health relative to risk. There's going to be obviously outliers. Bodybuilding is one of those, but you could argue at any level, you have to push yourself. You have to do things that are probably not going to be too efficacious towards health. Do you have to be, let's say, taking all the stuff and doing ridiculous amounts of cardio and putting your body through a load of stress if you're a golfer? No, but you're still most likely expending and doing a lot of things that are probably not going to be beneficial towards your family or towards whatever. It's the top of the game, unfortunately, and you can't really regulate that. I think there could be, like there should be, but it's hard to regulate, especially when it's not governed by, like, obviously there's a governing body, but there's no, like, it's not where like the Premier League are running it and they can control and say, right, well, we're doing this test. At the end of the day, it's very individual. It's very like, right, here's your coach, here's your athlete, here's the shows, crack on.
Yeah, but I think if they, like, especially in females, if they were to stop sort of basically, let's say the most shredded girl wins, for example, in figure or physique, even in bodybuilding, like, because obviously it's different when it comes to females. Like, if just the most shredded one wins every time, then obviously all the girls are going to be like, right, well, I just need to get leaner. I need to get leaner, which is only going to take away from the health aspect. Like, yes, like you say, you are in any sport at the highest level, you are putting health factors, or, you're putting other things on the back burner. They're not the main goal. The main goal is to win. Nothing else really matters a lot of the time. But when it comes to like life or death, it is a bit more important. And I just think, like, at the end of the day, you've got to look at yourself. What are you laughing at, mate? This is a serious question.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
What are you laughing at?
I just got a message come through from a story, and I was like, that's quite funny.
Anyway, so yeah, I would say, like, you've got to look at yourself, because at the end of the day, whatever you do to your body is your responsibility. Even if you have a coach who's telling you to do this and that, you should be, either one, comfortable enough to question the coach, or trust them enough to do as they say, but you should still know enough yourself. Like, if I was, let's say, coaching some of my guys and being like, right, let's just jump on this, let's jump on that, let's try and jump into a PCA show next year, you're going to have to take this, and this. And they were just like, oh, I don't know what that is, but all right. Yes, that's bad on me. That's
literally what you were telling me at the start of the year.
Oh God, that's bad on me.
Exactly what you said. I woke up to a message and it was like, you need to order this. This is what you need to do. And I was like, Finn, I'm natty, please.
Well, it's more so it's not more so that is the coach's fault, but also it's the athlete's fault, because they need to look at themselves. Like, I would never just do as someone says if I wasn't either really, really confident in their knowledge, and that they
even then I'd say
I'd still make sure I knew what something was. If someone told me take this thing and I'd never heard of it, I wouldn't just be like, okay, cool, I'll just go and buy it. I'd research it. I'd see, what is it? What's it going to do? I'd ask them, why? What's the benefit of this? Like, and some of the things, especially like with some of the girls and the diuretics that they've been on for weeks, and the amount of cardio that they're doing, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that it's their own fault, because that's horrible, and it's not directly, but you have got to look at yourself and question these things, because, yes, it's all well and good winning a bodybuilding show, and that might be your, you again, like, let's say it's getting a pro card or whatever it may be, or winning a pro show. That might be your like life goal, but you could be then, it is. But then, people, that is for a lot of people. But let's imagine you don't achieve that. Let's imagine you even do achieve that, but you lose 50 years off your life for it. Is that really worth it? Like, it's sad. It is really sad. But, a lot of the time you've got to weigh up the risk versus reward. And I think a lot of the time people don't realize the risks that are involved in it, especially if you're doing it for such a long time and pushing your body so hard without, doing it the right way. But yeah, it is difficult to change it unless they start really stomping down on it and changing the actual criteria, where it's almost like you don't have to come in as lean, you don't have to be as big, because it is, the biggest and the leanest wins in bodybuilding. Like, not in every category, but even in most categories, even in physique, it's usually the biggest guy and the leanest guy that wins. Like, it's rarely the guy who's smaller and softer, unless he has incredible shape. Like, it's usually the biggest and the leanest guy wins, or girl. Like, so yeah, it is. It's just the sport. It is quite, it's quite scary when you look at it like that.
Physique, it's the initial impression, like the first ever, I think, Olympia, they were like, where they had it in or whatever, they were like, the quote was like, they wanted you to look like a body that you don't even need weights for. Like, that's like,
that was a joke though, surely.
Yeah, it was. But that's what the classification was, and you see them now, and it's like
Generation I on that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but they read. I think that was reading the class. So that was what they kind of said. It's ridiculous.
They look like they don't even use weights or something. Like, winding me up.
Yeah.
And then it was like Jeremy Buendia was the example.
Yeah. No, it's
the
like,
body you don't need weights for. Yeah.
No, ridiculous. But yeah. Either way. Right. Perrin Tustin. Do you think you would have built tissue in your diet being assisted? Very good question. What do you reckon? I think potentially. I think in certain areas maybe, but I don't. I went in and I had a solid amount of tissue. I didn't grow exponentially.
It's one of them.
I think there was a little bit of a recomp from like 104 to like 102, because I definitely looked better across the board.
For the past like 8 to 10 weeks, you won't have done.
Fuck no.
But
no.
Before then yeah, the same with me. Like, even without being enhanced, guys, you know. Like, I definitely grew. Like, I have photos of like I think 180 on the way down versus 180 on the way up. And that's not, it wasn't as if I was that much further down the line. And I would 100%, like, you can easily grow in a deficit for the most part of it until it gets detrimental. Like, and you'll know when it's detrimental because you'll feel it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for the past, 10 weeks, are you going to tell us a ghost story?
No, I sort my life out, mate.
For the past 10 weeks, like, you've felt pretty shit. Or maybe not 10, maybe like 6.
No, 10. Like, think about it. I was battered it was like since the push from like 100 kilos. And like, I know it doesn't sound mental, but it's been 4 weeks since the first show. Yeah. Like, or 3 weeks since the first show. Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So like, if you think the build up to that was 6 weeks, 9 weeks, like it's been 9 to 10 weeks. It doesn't feel like that. Last 2 or so have been like, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. But yeah, the last 10 weeks, no. To be fair, my training performance didn't take a hit till I was about 2 weeks out from the first show. So up until 2 weeks out, everything was all good. I could probably have anticipated that I'm not going to be growing, but I'm not going to be losing muscle. Not to say that I was losing muscle after that, but there definitely was a factor where, like, when you're going into a session and you're 2 kilos down from a session the week before that you were 2 kilos down, that you wrote next to it absolutely battered, that you were 2 kilos down from the session before that, there's going to be a point where you're like, right, I'm not actually growing any tissue at this rate. But yeah, the build up to, you definitely can. I was progressing. Like, for example, would I have been as strong on a flat bench than I was at 4 weeks out, even though I've lost no major performance, than when I was at my fattest? No, because the movement pattern's completely different, but everything was progressing. And if you're stronger, if you're in a better spot physically in every single situation, and then the utilization of assistance, like, even without, you'd argue you potentially are going to be growing and you're going to be in a better spot. So yeah, hopefully that's helped. It would be interesting. Like I said, I think certain body parts definitely probably have came up a little bit, but like I said, I went into it with a decent amount of tissue. It wasn't where I like jumped on for the first time. I've trained for 2 years and like I just blew up. It's not really going to be the case. So yeah,
you can definitely grow for not necessarily the majority of a diet, 'cause it depends how the diet goes. But if you couldn't grow at all in a deficit, then imagine literally, you know, for, let's say you've been gaining for a year and then you go into a deficit for, let's say like a minor deficit, or even an aggressive deficit, but you can still progress your training, you're still eating a good amount of protein, you're still sleeping really well. Like, yes, the positive energy balance isn't there, but you're still doing everything else right and you're still progressing your training. There's no real reason that you can't grow. No, you won't grow maybe as optimally, but
and you still have fat available to provide energy. Exactly. Your food's still in a good spot. Like, if you're good with your meal timings and you're still going to be in a protein like a positive.
Not as if there's like a switch and your body goes, oh, deficit, can't grow. It's when you're battered towards the end where your body's not in a good position to do so. But for the most part, especially if you manage it well, then you definitely can. Pearson also asked me, how does it feel when you see Reece hip thrust in his RDL? It's going to be a touchy subject for Reece, this, mate. You probably shouldn't have asked that. Look at his face.
Thrust in my RDL? What's he on about?
Already. Pearson just thinks your RDLs are shit, basically.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Don't know why I don't talk.
I don't really like. I don't like. I can understand like pressing depth, but then.
Nah, I don't think he does, mate. I think he just thinks that you jolt it a little bit too much. But
an RDL, what do you mean? Like, like at the end, like a jolt when I like thrust my hips forward on it.
Yeah, like
that's weird. I've never been told that. I've never been told that. Can I reverse it? Does Pearson even hip hinge? Like, I've never seen him hip hinge. Did he hip hinge? Like, I'd like to know. No. I've never seen him hip hinge. Does he hip hinge or not?
I don't know, mate. He did with me.
Did he? Yeah, I've never seen him hip hinge. Like, I've only ever seen him really do his like push work on his stories, or I'm trying to think. No, fair enough.
Such a hater, Pearson.
I know, that's weird. Like, I thought usually, like, if I was to get a comment, I'm like, oh, it was the same as when he was like, oh, my waist is big. I was like, what? Like, I think Pearson says stuff. He literally says stuff. He says stuff, and it's like, I've never heard this in my entire life. It's really strange. Like, it's if for example, I've been told my pressing depth is wank 100 times. I'm like, yeah, sound. I don't mechanically suit higher incline presses. Like I do what I need to do. Like it's one of those. But at the same time, like when you get told stuff, and I'm like, I've never even heard this before. Fair enough. It's clearly my RDLs are wank.
I have to confront.
And they are wank. It was 160 kilos yesterday. It was 180. The loading's awful.
I think he's on about probably when you're in the lockdown, when you got it up to like a nearly 250. Yeah. And it wasn't bad, but it was a little bit shoddy.
Yeah, definitely. It wasn't. The thing is, and I think like a lot of you can always look at videos and look at things like the 250 RDLs were never bad at all. Like I did them I never was told in any gym, fucking hell, you need to reset that. Like it was
but no one's going to come up to you and go.
And no. But like the execution was sound. Could it have been? Was it a little bit sloppy? Yeah, 100%. But it would be the same as like anybody's when you've had it in. It was like a 215. At the start of like my gaining phase, and I added 40 kilos to it. Like it's going to be sloppy when you get 40 or 45 kilos to something. Like it's almost like, did I want it to be a sloppy? No, it fucked me up. It ruined me. So I was like, right, I've got to take it out. But it's not like it didn't transfer into a stiff leg or whatever. So yeah, no, fair enough. I didn't even know Pearson followed me when I was doing RDLs. Like I didn't even know, like that's why I thought maybe recently, but I don't know.
It's poor from Pearson.
Yeah, fucking Pearson, comment on, I don't know, my depth on pressing, but or something like that.
Don't upset him, Pearson. Come on. He's 4 days out and you've upset him now.
Yeah, shocking. I'm gonna get off this and start crying now. That's it. Right. Toby Warner, drop, bench, start. Prime Salah, Hazard, Suarez.
Drop, bench, start.
Yeah, so you have to drop one, bench one, start the other. And this is the thing. If we're talking a one-off game, it's completely different. A season has to be.
Who are the players?
Oh, Salah, Hazard, and Suarez. And I'm guessing
all in their prime, yeah?
Prime, yeah.
I'd drop Hazard.
Yeah. Is this a one-off game or is it a 38-game season?
Let's say a one-off game. What? Drop one, bench one, start one?
Yeah.
So that's not great, is it? You only get to start one of them.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd drop Hazard, like even though I don't know though, because in his prime he was a joke, wasn't he?
I loved Hazard. Like honestly, like if Hazard's on it, I used to be
basically won Chelsea's league.
Yeah, I just shit myself. Yeah, he was ridiculous. I loved him. Like one of my favourite players who didn't play for Liverpool, and like I said, he'd come round and like to Liverpool, I'd be scared. Every time he got the ball, I'd be get him off it. But then there were times where he'd just like go missing, and he was pretty poor.
I think I said that because you don't get to you even benching him shit.
Yeah,
I don't want to let him down. You know,
the best player I've seen out of them all was Suarez by a decent mile. Like prime Suarez, 13, 14. Absolute freak of a player. Freak. But if we're talking consistency, like you can't match Salah over a season of what he's been doing in the Prem. Like literally since he got here. I know you could argue he plays as a forward, but he's on the right-hand side. And I mean, the level he's playing at right now this season is a step above. He was ridiculous last year. First season was ridiculous goal scoring tally-wise. And like he's always been a productivity machine, but like his actual overall game has been ridiculous the last like 18 months. But I would personally say one-off game, Suarez, 38-game season, Salah. And even then, I'd probably say Suarez, prime Suarez. I'd go Suarez over Salah.
Yeah, but let's just do it as one
prime player, Suarez. Overall player, Salah's been a better player for Liverpool because he's done it for longer, and he's a freak anyway. And Hazard, unfortunately, I don't think has the goals or assists. However, if we're talking about aesthetics, Hazard is one of the best, prime Hazard. It's the same as like Ronaldinho, aesthetically, is a better player than Salah. But if you put Ronaldinho in Liverpool's team currently, I don't think he beats Salah's numbers.
Okay, so what's your answer for one game?
Suarez, start, bench Salah, bring him on, Hazard, drop.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah.
Although, if it wasn't for Salah's goal last weekend, I'd have dropped Salah.
Finn has an agenda against Salah, which is disgraceful.
I don't. He's just not good. I don't think he's that good of a footballer. He's very productive. No, of a footballer. Like
no, you say that.
Ronaldo's not that talented as a footballer, but he's incredible and he's the best of all time. You know what I mean? Like Messi is a better talented footballer than Ronaldo, but he's not better than Ronaldo.
You get offered now Neymar or Salah. Who are you taking?
Salah.
United. Fair enough.
Because he's proven in the Prem and because he is very productive.
Yeah. Yeah. So then if I said to you Scholes or Lampard, who are you taking?
Scholes.
But then you just said if you're going off productivity.
I'm not going off productivity.
Lampard. I mean, you destroyed Scholes. You know?
Nah, if you ask anybody who played with Scholes, then they'll say like he's the best player. Lampard's not even talked about in Scholes.
Mate, you know Scholes didn't get any. He didn't even once win the Premier League. He didn't get in the Team of the Year once. I think. Like it was. Like I think Gerrard had 8 world nominees or something like that.
Yeah, because he played a big team, didn't he? So he looked good.
Yeah, like Gerrard and Lampard they both got a podium placing in the Ballon d'Or. Scholes never even got into the top 10.
Yeah, because he just gets overlooked. He was that good.
He wasn't rated by anybody other than people in England. That's the weird thing.
He 100% was. Yeah. Zidane said he's the best player he's ever seen.
That was Gerrard. That wasn't Scholes.
No, it was 100%.
I don't know, mate.
Mate, honestly, loads of people that have played against him or played with him are like, yeah, he's a joke.
Yeah, I'm not saying he wasn't. I just don't think he was on the same level. I thought he was a great player, but I don't think he was.
He was a better footballer than Gerrard and Lampard, but he maybe wasn't as. Well, it depends. What do you want from a midfielder? Do you just want goals? Because Scholes wasn't.
Yeah, you go Lampard if you want goals.
Yeah, exactly.
I think if you want the overall package, physicality, defending, one man kind of team, I think Gerrard's the best of the bunch.
Yeah, but I
feel like
because of who he played for.
Yeah.
Like if you put
Scholes in Liverpool's team, fucking out. I don't think he stands out as much as Gerrard did. No chance. But I think Lampard could have emulated a similar role to the team. Yeah,
it's like
I think he would. No, I think he would. Yeah, because he would have been given the freedom. He was playing right back in a Champions League final where he got a goal and he scored a pen, and I think he put right back Steven Gerrard, mate. Like I said, you know what? Poll whose football's opinion? This is it. Whose football opinions are better? Reece's or Finn's?
Oh, I thought we were going to say who's better, Scholes or Gerrard.
Yeah, or Scholes or Gerrard. But the thing is, like, I could understand why people would go both ways.
Yeah, I could. I think most people would say Gerrard, but I think if it's like again, like if you were to watch football, like the reason I say Phil Foden is so good is because I know, like
Phil Foden is good.
Playing football, I know how good he actually is, but because he doesn't maybe score loads of goals, or because he doesn't take loads of players on, or he's not like you know what I mean, he's not out there as an amazing player. Like people think, oh yeah, he's all right, but when you actually watch him play, it's like fucking hell, like he's ridiculously good.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Right, mate, ask me out of questions. You got any more?
We'll smash through these. Socrates, that guy. We've actually asked a few questions on Socrates because we spoke about him being a footballer. Dumbbell pressing versus machines for push days in an off season. When to use which? I don't think there's a specific time to use either. Like generally, you might struggle to stabilize the dumbbells when you're lighter.
Can we highlight? Don't come out of a competition prep and do dumbbell pressing straight away.
Yeah, probably not the best idea.
Yeah.
You could maybe say, like, you could potentially say it's a bit more favourable to do dumbbells when you're trying to like align with, let's say, the fibres. Like, for example, if you're trying to align with the clavicular fibres more, it's going to be maybe a bit easier with the
and the elbow path can be. You can dictate the elbow path, and you can actually converge in a natural fashion. Some like chest presses don't converge or converge too much. So you can actually control that to the best of your ability because you're the one in control of the dumbbells. But then if you're overall trying to think about converging with dumbbells, you'll most likely probably not be like utilizing the load that you could do on a fixed machine where the stability aspect is already taken away. And then likewise, you don't have to be throwing the dumbbells up. At the end of the day, like, I just look at this and I think you're taking the pec from a fully lengthened to ideally a fully shortened position under load. Does it really matter? Like if it's progressing and it suits you? I mean, in a gaining phase, if you're going to be in a gaining phase for a year, what's not to say that you don't transition and rotate between a machine press, a dumbbell press? Like you don't have to pick one and be like, this is the exercise, you know? Like for example, with myself, I know my stiff leg deadlifts are going to go back in when I can recover from them and they're effective. in the meantime, I have to do a hip thrust RDL. So it's one of those where I have to try and find a balance, but it'll be something that I'll transition onto eventually. So, yeah.
I think as well, like with the dumbbells, you could, and well, to be fair, I would say the actual answer is it depends on the machines that you have available. Because if you have like really good machines, which have a good
chest press, mate. What's the best chest press that you'd utilize?
Probably
Cybex Eagle's good.
Yeah, the Cybex Eagle is good, but I'd probably say the Nautilus, the vertical explode one, is very good.
Yeah.
Or even the Strive incline or the Prime incline now, that is very, very good. But yeah, I think if you've got good machines, like really good machines that you can manipulate, and they've got like a good handle so that you're not, let's say, forced into a pronated grip if you're going to be in a better position in like a semi-pronated grip. Those kind of things help. But with dumbbells, you can create that yourself. So that's the benefit they have. But then you've got the negative of the stability component. So again, it's cost versus benefit.
And the fact when you're strong as fuck, you have to get them up, and they're harder when you're throwing up the 70s. So yeah, maybe not get that strong, Socrates.
Final one, Harvey Neves. I think this is the guy that messaged you. It might not be. Basically asked how much volume should he do. Always thinks he's doing too much, too little, doing around 14 to 16 sets per session.
Is he recovering? Is he progressing? If so, leave it as it is. If you're not, just drop to baseline volume, find a baseline that you can almost kind of get away with, and then just work up, and you'll get to a point where you start burning out, progressing, and then you go, right, that's probably the maximum amount of volume I can do. Without knowing, it's very individual, and at the end of the day, each muscle group will recover. Likewise, that's relevant to intensity, relevant to loading, it's relevant to so many little things that is impossible for us to say, right, Harv, my man, you need to be doing 8 total sets for biceps per week. But then he asks, well, does my pull work contribute to the bicep volume? And then we go, we don't know. Let's see. Like, it's so challenging. So like I said, I would personally just look at it and think, am I recovering? If so, could I potentially go with more? If not, pull yourself down and find a baseline, and then work yourself up to a point where you can definitely tell that you're not recovering because your training's not progressing, physique's not progressing, you feel pretty battered, and then you go, right, that's my limit, let me cap it off there, and I probably don't exceed that. And that's going to be very dependent on a lot of factors as mentioned, but at the end of the day, you're your own individual, and you almost have to put the work in to find it out. Not everybody's going to know. Like Finn, for example, right now, he added in 2 sets of lat work on one of his sessions at midweek, and he's just assessed. It wasn't where he kind of critically thought, I wonder. He just came up to me and goes, what do you reckon about adding in 2 sets of lat work today? And I was like, give it a go. And then we looked at the exercises, and then we said, right, what about the hammer strength iso row? And we were like, right, give it a go. And then feedback's been sound. Like, it's been good.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I think people overanalyze it as well.
Yeah.
Like, people think too much, like, oh my God, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Is my volume where it needs to be? Like, you will kind of know, like, your body will tell you. Like, the amount of times that I've noticed, like, right, I'm feeling absolutely trashed. Maybe I'm doing a bit too much. And then, like, let's say you'll do a deload or a devolume, and then you come back into training and you're absolutely trashed again a week later or 2 weeks later. You're getting injured. Your performance isn't progressing. Like, you're doing too much. You'll never know if you're doing too little until you kind of get to that. And then you got to find that space in between. So like now for me, like say that I know for a fact that I could add in 2 sets of lats on a push day, because I'm not training pull for another 4 days from there, or three days in between. So I know for a fact that I can get away with that. Like, whereas if I was to, let's say, add another 2 sets on a leg press on a leg day, like, that's probably going to absolutely ruin me. And it's a much more demanding exercise. Mate, you're not lean. Stop showing us your jaw. You're not even lean.
Shredded, bro.
So it depends on because not all volume is the same as well. A lot of people are like, I'm doing 14 sets. I'm like, yeah, but that's irrelevant, because I don't know what exercise you're doing. I don't know how hard you train. You can tell me that you train to failure, but most people think they train to failure, and they don't. They train nowhere near it. And again, if you're doing 14 sets, let's say you're doing 6 of those sets are 3 sets on a hack and 3 sets on a leg press, like, and your training's a failure and you're strong, let's say, like, you're probably going to be pretty trashed. Whereas if 14 of those sets, you know, one of them is on the hack and 2 on the leg press, or maybe even 2 and 2, like there's probably less chance of you being battered. So there's so many things. I would say, mate, just don't overthink it. Make sure you're training hard. Make sure you're progressing. Make sure you're recovering for the next session. If you are recovered for the next session, try and taper up volume. If you then realise that you're overdoing it and you're noticing that you're getting little niggles creeping in, or you're not progressing as well, or your quality of those sets is dropping, then you obviously know you're doing too much.
Scale back, baby. So yeah, very person dependent, but one of those you almost have to have time in the trenches to discover what you can get away with. No, going to war. You have to go to war. That's what it is. Going to war this weekend. That's it, guys.
I thought it was a piss take every time, but it's not.
What do you mean?
Like people still literally say it. I thought now people did it to take the piss out of people that said it, but there's still people that say it.
Well, no, it's bonkers. It's the same as like.
Bonkers, mate.
Yeah, no, it is. It's ridiculous. There's certain things that people say, and I just can't stand it. If I'm honest, like it's the body, you know, like the how to tell you're a bodybuilder or say you're a bodybuilder without saying you're a bodybuilder. I hate stuff like that. The prep life, like everything's about prep, everything's this, it's all categorized. It's like, just get a fucking grip, you weapons. It's so robotic. Everything's just fake as anything.
Right.
We were literally saying yesterday, like the support you get on prep, it's like you think it's legit, and there are people who care, like, and it's lovely, but there's so many people who it's just literally like just positive engagement because they're thinking about themselves, commenting, and they're thinking like, oh, this is gonna be good for them. And like a lot of people buy into that and think, oh my God, like, for example, if I was to pull out from the show this weekend, like there's going to obviously be people that go, oh shit, like I'd like to have watched that. But like in the grand scheme of things, nobody's losing sleep over it. You know, nobody else is like, people just go, oh, Reece competing, you know, but you build up in like social media, you think, people care. In reality, it's like, it's just you know, it's a sad case, isn't it? You know, it is a sad world, but hey ho, the positives and the negatives, that's it. So yeah, but no, that's it. We've got everything done. What have you been doing, mate? You've just been sat. You've been sat, like, what have you been writing or typing? You've been really, like, you look busy. You look like you've been doing something.
So I'm doing a setup after this, sorry mate, and I'm just looking through his gym video.
Oh, fair enough. Right, guys, so that is episode. Yeah, Finn's being rude. That's episode 23 of the Once You're In Your Own podcast. Next one will be 24, which will actually tick off, if we're thinking about it, 4 weeks per month. Yeah, 6 months. Mental, even though it's been a bit longer than that. So happy 6-month anniversary. First prep of the podcast done will be from next week. And that'll be that. So we'll go through like a little prep roundup. We might do some questions. We'll probably go through the off-season plan because Sunday we're going to have a touch base of training and get everything sorted, and we can walk you through the next plan of action for myself, and then likewise for Finn if there's any changes, because a few tweaks will be going in for his training. So hopefully, as mentioned earlier, we can train together on a few sessions per week and we should be good to go. Other than that, thanks to all the fantastic listeners of the podcast, everyone who listens, and likewise appreciate all the story tags and any comments and questions that came in prior to the episode that we shot today. Other than that, hopefully,
I'll put the poll thing on.
Yeah, we'll put the poll. So yeah, make sure you do the poll
on Spotify. Guys. So I think I might be able to do it on YouTube. You can do it on YouTube, but I've never done one.
Yeah, it's too much work. So everyone on YouTube, go onto the poll on Spotify, answer the poll, and we'll go from there. But other than that, thanks for listening, guys. Catch you next one. See you later.